Hi, my name is Nora. My family comes from Damascus, Syria. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make bamiyeh, okra stew. So first what we're going to do is cook the beef. What I'm using here is a beef stew. It's pre-cut for you and it's really easy to work with. So you just take a pot and you basically add just a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit to coat the bottom of the pan, just like that. And then you add the beef. This is 1.5 pounds. You can use one depending on how many people you are. Now I'm going to add some salt just to coat it. It's probably around 1 tablespoon or 2 pinches. And I like to add allspice. Allspice is a really good spice because it really adds a lot of flavor without having too many different ingredients. So I like to use around 1 teaspoon. And then you basically are just going to cover it with enough water until it covers it by about 2 inches. Then you go ahead and put it on the stove and let it cook probably around 45 minutes. If you have a pressure cooker, it will work better because it will take about 30 minutes. But it's fine to use it with a pot and just make sure that you always have enough liquid to cover it. We're going to use this stock for the rest of the stew later. For our next ingredient, we're going to be chopping the tomatoes. What I have here is 3 Hot House on the vine tomatoes. You don't need to use those. You can use any type of tomato that you need. And I've got 2 chopped here. I'm just going to chop one in front of you. You basically just need a rough chop. This is going to go in a stew, so it doesn't need to be tiny, and it doesn't need to be super So we just rough chop these. Again, they don't need to be perfect. You're going to need roughly 1 cup of fresh cilantro, and you just pick it off the vine, and then you just really a rough chop because, again, it's going in a stew, so it doesn't really need to be perfect, but just small enough so that you can eat it. That's it. Just get it to a nice little rough consistency and reserve it back in a bowl to be put on the stove in a little bit. So you're going to use 6 large garlic cloves. The larger the better because with this stew the more garlic the better, but you don't want to overpower it. So if it's 6 small garlic cloves, you can use up to 8. So basically just put them in any smasher you have. If you don't have a garlic smasher, then all you need to do is put it in, chop it up finely with a knife. You can do the same thing. I'm going to use my little tool here. So this is 6 large garlic cloves smashed with my little smasher, or you can use a mortar and pestle. Also works really well. So you're just going to reserve it off to the side. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about the okra. So in most grocery stores you see a large variety of okra, but you need the small kind. So I'm going to show you the bag. This is the okra that I just pulled out of that bag I showed you. I just want to show you the size. The okra, as you notice, is small. It's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long. This is not the okra that you would find in a regular market. You usually would find it in a specialty market like a Middle Eastern market, a Latin market, or I think also the Asian markets have them. But these okra will stay soft and tender for a stew and you can eat them whole. The large okra, even chopped up, just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't have the same consistency. So the first thing we add is just a little bit of oil to coat the pan. I'd say it's probably, maybe half a tablespoon. And we're going to just heat it up and add the okra. Frozen is fine. Add all the okra in there. And then right away we're gonna add, it's about one 6-ounce can of any regular tomato paste that you have. Go ahead and just dump that in there. And the tomatoes that we chopped earlier, 3 tomatoes, go ahead and just dump them in there. And then we're gonna add some salt, probably another tablespoon of salt. And another maybe 2 teaspoons of allspice. Okay, we just kind of mix this around a little bit. And then we're going to add the beef that we had cooked earlier. The beef with the reserved stock. And we're gonna just dump it in there. Then you add the stock just so that it covers it, just a little bit, not too much stock. If you have extra, that's okay, just throw it away, but you just put enough so that it covers the top. And then you go ahead and add the beef, which is now fork tender. And we're gonna go ahead and simmer this for about 20 minutes. Leave the cover off so that it actually gets rid of some of the fluid because you want it to be a little bit thicker. So bamiyeh is one of those dishes that, you know, it's kind of a staple. It's a go-to when you really don't have that much time. And during Ramadan, you're kind of wanting something saucy and moist. And this kind of gives you that stew, soupy feel. But you also eat it with rice, so it's kind of really filling. My mom taught me how to make bamiyeh, and she teaches me everything I know how to make any Syrian food. And usually she works, so usually it's from you know, her speakerphone at work with nobody in her office giving me the steps on how to do everything, and I need very detailed steps. So now I actually know how to make it on my own, but for a while I would call her every day asking her how to make specific dishes, and bamiyeh was the one that clicked in my mind the most. So it's pretty easy to make. This is kind of the consistency that you want. See, it's a little bit thicker and the liquid has boiled down. So when you boil it, you actually want to boil it with the top off, simmer it with the top off, so that you get a little bit thicker of a consistency than you had before. And you can actually boil it or not boil it as long as you want, and depending on the consistency that you like. Some people like it pretty thick, some people like it really soupy. So now that it's kind of in its last stages, in the last 5 minutes right before it's done, I like to add the garlic. So we'll do that now. And the cilantro. And you just mix that in. Okay, so here is bamiyeh with the white rice on the side. You can use brown rice too. It's a really easy dish to make. And in Syria, right before we eat a dish, we like to say sahtain, which means for your health. So, sahtain!